Hi, everyone. Welcome to Two Authors, Books, and a Beverage. I have my coffee here this morning, and I love my cup. Look, it's got a J on it for Judy.
Mine has some Mary.
With an M. Yes, that was a Christmas present from our dear author friend, Kim Fletcher. So today we have and want to welcome an author that's new to me. And I'm excited.
Well, I've known her.
Yeah, I'm excited about to hear about her and what she writes. And I'm going to turn it over to Mary to introduce our author of the month.
Okay, so we are excited for January, a new year. Happy New Year to everyone. And so let's start out the new year with lots of good new books. And this is Kathryn Elizabeth Jones, right? Do you go by Kathy or Kathryn? What do you go by?
Either is just fine.
Okay. Well, first I'm going to ask you, just tell us a little bit about yourself, you know, how you started writing.
Okay.
Go on.
I have always loved reading. And before I was a writer, I was in love with Nancy Drew mystery books, and I would get the newest one that came out and I would devour it. And then I'd go to the next one, and then I'd ask the books for Christmas from my mom and my birthday. I had to have all the collection. But it wasn't until high school, I took a creative writing class in high school, and I started to get an idea about writing and what that would mean for me. But I didn't seriously write until I was married. And I was pregnant with my first daughter, and I was so sick. All I could do was lay on the couch and sit there all day. And I thought, what can I do with myself while I'm sitting here? And it came to me that I needed to start to write. And so that's what I did. That's when I began. I started to write down how much I hated being pregnant and, and how hard it was for me and how I was anxious for that baby to come. And so that's where it began.
Okay, so how
many
books?
I'm sorry.
Oh, that's good. She says, what genre? Do you just write one genre or more?
Well, I write multiple genres, and it's just because it's kind of where my brain goes. I'm kind of that way. Mm-hmm. I started out writing a middle reader, A River of Stones as a middle reader. And then I kind of went into some mystery books for a while. I love doing those because of my love for mystery writing. And then I've done some Christian fiction books, which I really loved. And I've done quite a few of those, some nonfiction. I've even done some science fiction fantasy for young readers and some picture books. So I'm all over the place.
Wow.
But more recently, I've come back full circle, and I'm doing more of the Christian historical fiction kind of thing. And I'm just loving that. So.
Great.
I have a question about it's historical fiction.
Yeah.
I have a problem getting lost, and I'll have to go research. 2 hours later, it's like, now what was I supposed to be researching? Do you have that problem?
I know. So what I do is I start the book, and then I'll get to a point where I'm going, okay, I really don't understand something about this scene. I don't understand the place where it's taking place. The character I'm trying to develop, and I have to do some research so that I can continue that story, because especially with my recent book, I Walked with Jesus, I wanted to make sure that the stories that I put in there were accurate at the time period, as accurate as I could be about the people, because, you know, some of the people in my book only, in the scriptures, in the Bible, only have a little line written about them. And so I've developed that character based on one thing that they've said. And so that's taken a lot of thought, inspiration. That whole process has taken some time to get through, to get that finished. So.
Okay, so how do you research that? I mean, is there a lot of information about that time period on the internet, or do you have to go to a library?
Well, actually, there's a couple both kind of things going on. I did do some research online, quite a bit of research, but some of it isn't accurate. I mean, it's just not. And so what I tried to do is, when I found a piece of information on the internet, I tried to find it somewhere else. that would say, hey, that's correct, or no, that's not correct, just kind of toss that idea. So I did a lot of double, triple researching. My mom has been to Israel, and so she read my book. She, no, you gotta take that out. That isn't correct. And she would show me books that she had and with the information that I needed to make that a correct scene.
So your recent book is I Walk with Jesus, correct? And it's a historical fiction?
Yes. So what it has is short stories in it, 17 short stories during the time of Christ with people that knew him. We're talking about the woman at the well, the woman with an issue of blood, the blind man, the deaf man. I mean, you've heard all these stories all your life, but you really probably don't know the individual and what brought them to that day that they met Christ. What were they like before they met him? What made that miracle possible for them? And so it's kind of a different thing for me to do short stories in a book. It's the first one I've ever done that way. But it turned out really nicely, I think, really nicely. So you could sit down and read a story and then take a break and then come back and read another one. And you can read it any order you want. So,
okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to read it. Now, I typically read novels. Short stories to me leave me hanging, and it's like, well, what else happens? And so I don't typically, but I'll have to read it. I don't write historical fiction, but I do read it because I like it, but I don't write it because it's so much research and so much work that it would take me twice as long, because I love history. I love all the stories. I would be so caught up in the making of it and stuff. I wouldn't get it. With a day job, I have a day job to pay the bills.
Yes.
And I would never get it done. It would take me 3 or 4 years. So
you know what I did? It took me about a year. And what I did to motivate myself is I would write like a first draft a couple days in the week. And then at the beginning of the next week, I would have a date with my husband and I would read it to him on our date. And he would give me feedback on the new story. And then we just repeated that every week. So every week I had to have something for him. So it motivated me to keep going, but I only had to do one story a week. So that's what got me through that. So that I was, and it didn't mean it was 100% finished, but it meant that I had a first draft. I could go back and I could add details as needed, you know, historical details, that kind of thing as needed. But it motivated me to finish. So.
Well, that's good. A good thing. My husband did read my last thriller, and he did say, "Yeah, this isn't going to work," or "Yeah, no, this is way too corny." So that, you know, sometimes feedback is good, and sometimes feedback from someone who doesn't read that genre is even better, because they get lost and they're like, "Well, wait a minute," and you want everybody to read your book, no matter the genre.
You do.
That's true.
Can I ask you, are you working on another story now?
So now we're working on book 2. I didn't think there was a book 2. Yeah, there is, and so I'm starting with this is after Jesus is resurrected, and this is when the apostles are on their own now for the first time, and their experiences with the people, and that will be the next book.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Well, good luck with that. Wow, it sounds amazing.
Now, do you have group? Oh, sorry.
We're almost to the end of our, can you tell us where we can find you?
That's what I was going to ask.
Okay.
Okay, so Amazon, it's pretty easy. It used to be that you could just put my name in and it would bring up all my books, but I don't know what's going on recently. But you do a search for Kathryn Elizabeth Jones. You should be able to find me after a few seconds. But I'm on Amazon. I do have my books on at Barnes & Noble as well.com. And I do have a website, Kathy, let's see, riverofstones.com. So it's www.ariverofstones.com. And on there, I talk about my writing, different events I'm doing that are coming up. I talk about a lot of things that new authors or new writers have questions about. So how do you develop a plot? how do you create your characters? How do you market? For heaven's sakes, most of us are like, okay, my book's done, but I have no idea what to do now. So
Well, it changes. It
Yeah,
changes
it
so
changes.
much. Yeah, because I took classes in marketing, and so I thought, oh, I'll know. No, it changes. You just get something down in Amazon and they change it. You get, you get a routine and they change it. You know, even Facebook now has a business suite that they've just come up with that you can actually post on Facebook and your Instagram account. So you only have to do it once, but that's all new too. So everything's evolved.
It's all new. It's all new.
Yep.
And I used to bring out a marketing book every January, and I would update the marketing book. I haven't done it for a couple years, but that's always a good idea too.
Right.
Well,
Right.
Kathryn,
Updates. Yeah.
our time is up, and I thank you so much for joining us this morning, and have a great new year ahead of you with your new book and the book that you're working on. And if any of you have any questions, be sure to go on Facebook, listen to her interview. And Mary, what do you need to?
Okay, well, we will have her information, her bio and everything, of course, will be on this post. So if you're here, read the post, and I will make sure and have links and everything. And so everyone, meet Kathryn, and thank you for being with us today.
Thank you
Happy
for
New Year.
having me. Thank you so much.
You bet. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you too.